toll road or something. Have you ever been here? I told Rocky I want to really go here.
They're just going too fast through the school zone.
Good to see you.
Frederick, you just had to stand out.
Congratulations on being up for the third time now.
Thank you, thank you. Now, there's a difference in the third one. I'm not sure what it is yet, but they keep telling me there's a difference in the third one. So, can you tell my sister? Jen, too. The work grows exponentially with every child. It's not double the work. It's
And you know this. How? Because of your teaching?
all of my years in child rearing, which have been significant, as you know. I've raised many children from afar.
The SAL doesn't count.
No, but I backseat parent all the time. It's a hobby. And
So do you know why a little bit of a non-existent street was paved down the end of my street?
so that's a town road
Yep.
that we still own and maintain,
Mhm.
which we gravel. The Hurricane washed
And Andrew repaved,
Oh, we
redid
did.
oh, you did that, the bridge?
a culvert park
Yeah.
on his land. We didn't do that.
Well,
I've not been down there.
Well, you know, according to the GIS, it goes across the culvert. But he's always taken care of that. Because of that.
That's his emergency exit.
So he ought to be glad that it's paved.
Yeah, he is not. He wanted it done like a week ago.
But that's the only reason, it's just that from the street to the culvert, and that's the only.
That's it. And see, because in theory, that's where you can build more houses.
Well, that's what the concern is. Is he planning on doing that? So that was a concern.
No, we were just, we met while they were going to pay for it.
There you go. All right.
Because it was devastating. The road was gone.
I know, I lost a lot of sleep with that.
We were at the mercy.
How's your dad?
They're both cheap. So now we got the lower one, so that's one.
On the first Friday, on Friday, huh? So they're hosting it and they'll be all there. They have a good guest party.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Nancy's well. We're all just, we're recuperating from the weekend in Scrub Festival. Well, 2 days of keeping the riffraff out of the VIP floor and dealing with those in court.
What a crowd.
Yeah, good crowd. Real good crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Record breaking.
Good.
How are you? I was there when Al came back.
Did I send you? I just sent it right away. Nice. You know, we got a tab on his computer. He said,
You got the contacts in the town administration.
Because we're upset about it, I know we're hearing on it.
Be on board right there.
Especially when it comes to the budget, rates and taxes. Meeting, same time every month.
When is fall ball officially?
I'm trying to get us around today.
Like a last stimulus, that we could claim is with Elizabeth and because that's they got 12 members. I just even know it was a service project. It's kind of like maybe it's legal again. Maybe it's just very disabled. That's what I told you. I said, y'all do something weird. That's what I told you. Hey there. Zach Parker. Yes.
I'm Richard Smith.
Nice to meet you. Oh, now where you live? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Well, welcome. Now, what part of Highland Pines do you go way off back here? Let me see. Is that tall pine back there? I can't remember. Benjamin Ford, is that what you're from? I know where you're at. Oh, okay, well, welcome. Ortiz family, that's what we did.
Yeah.
All right, welcome everybody.
Good to see you.
Let the town manager get situated here. We will call the September Town of Bowling Springs Council meeting to order. If you will join me and as we stand and pledge allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we have the adoption of the agenda. Council, you can see the consent, regular business there on the agenda. Is there any wish to change or amend, or if not, is a motion to adopt?
I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as printed.
Okay, the entire agenda. Yeah, all right.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. That carries. The agenda is adopted. Mr. Champion, if you'd like to come and speak to us about the Bowling Springs Little League.
Evening, Mayor, Town Council. Just a quick update. Our spring, we ended with 177 total registrations. We fielded 2 all-star teams this spring. It was the 9-10, 11-12. They both played district. 11-12 played, I think they ended up playing 3 games. Looked good. 9-10 played some tough teams, played 2 games. And that's for the spring. As far as the fall, our numbers are low. We've expected that. Other sports won't play. So we're going to look for an abbreviated season, few games, practice, probably going to lead a little bit with other county or varsity as of now. So,
It's great. You guys are doing great work.
thank you. Appreciate you.
Reverend Woods, Cleveland County Rescue Mission.
Yes. Well, thank you all for allowing me and having me here. I'm really excited to be able to come down and share a little bit about the Cleveland County Rescue Mission and my involvement. I actually grew up in Cleveland County, so grew up in Grover, went to Kings Mountain High, and moved off. And for the last 15 years, I have been the executive director, the CEO of the Western Carolina Rescue Ministry up in Asheville, North Carolina. back in 2020, July of 2020, we took over the Cleveland County Rescue Mission. It has been a trying adventure for us, but man, God's doing some phenomenal things there. I'm super excited to report some of the things that we're able to do here in Cleveland County that I think is incredible. We have the property owner on Buffalo Street, 1100 Buffalo Street, which is now all women and children in that building. We have 28 women in that building, along with 10 children, ranging from the age of a newborn from last week all the way up to, I think we have a 14-year-old girl there. We offer not only overnight shelter for women and children in that building, but it's a restoration program. So they're in classes with the community college, and along with some kind of just life skill things that we're able to offer throughout the community. One of the things that has been really different here in Cleveland County versus the rescue mission in Asheville is that 92% of our women that come to us at the shelter there have been involved in a domestic violence. That number is really skewed compared to anywhere else around the country. I just got back this past week from Chicago with about 175 rescue mission leaders from around the country. That number's kind of skewed for us here. There's a lot, we're dealing with a lot more things. Now, I will say that we're serving from all ends of our county. And there are some things that I think both you all here and the city council in Shelby, and even the county commissioners, there's a change that's happening that I think you all need to be aware of that is going to change homelessness in a lot of areas. With that, we have a men's building on Julia Street, 706 Julia Street. We have offered seasonal overnight shelter there for 30 beds, starting December 1st, going through March 31st. We'll probably end up having to wait later, maybe January 1st this year, based on funding from this standpoint. We also have transitional housing, have 19 units of affordable housing for men, $650 a month to live in their own individual rooms and share a living room, kitchen, and restroom facilities. Then on Washington Street, we took that building and I totally rehabbed that building and have 15 transitional housing units for women. Those are rentable, affordable housing units with the same concept. But one of the things that has happened regionally is that being a shelter in Cleveland County, the emergency shelter in Gastonia closed last July. In Mortgage in that emergency shelter closed. So we're seeing this push of people who are needing shelter, who are coming into the areas. If we look at what, and I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna let you all ask me any questions you want to, but with the executive order, and I don't know if any of you all are familiar with the executive order that President Trump signed about 4 weeks ago, concerning homelessness. And it's a redirection of priorities, something we've all been asking for a long time. Those of us that don't take government funds, because of the way that HUD was using the money toward the Housing First program that was failing. What's gonna happen though is that an emphasis towards transformational things, whether it's mental health services, recovery services, all of that is really where the push is gonna go, and your local municipalities are gonna be responsible for not allowing public camping, not allowing all of those things that really degrades people. But where the resources to be able to do it in our communities, there's not enough shelter beds for it, there's not enough mental health beds for it. And so, one of the things that you're gonna probably hear me talk more about here in Cleveland County in every opportunity I get, is that, we need to be proactive. Because, and so to the point, because you're gonna have other areas wanna send people here, and that's not what we want. I mean, there's enough already here for us to do, we don't have enough resources. And so, there's gonna be a need to really enforce, but also be aware of the changing in government funding, because a lot of those areas, Asheville is one of those areas, the Mecklenburg area that took tons of federal funds for Housing First. Those funds are gonna get shut off. And we're gonna see smaller areas get bombarded. And that's not what we're gonna want. So I'm gonna stop here for a second. Ask, is there any questions?
Questions from council?
Well, how do you get your funding? I mean, is it?
Well, we raise funds. We, here in Cleveland County, has been a little tough. Since 2020, the Rescue Mission in Asheville has had to, fund about $200,000 a year towards the operations here. We are, hoping to get to the point to where Cleveland County can take care of Cleveland County, and be able to run this up. We have a separate board here, but we're not there yet. So we try to raise funds in the community. We do churches, we do take some grants. I mean, let me say this, we don't take any federal funds or in the past because of the restrictions where it comes around our ability to be able to share faith at the level that we share. We are always open for local funds, and from local governments and those things that don't have strings attached to it from that standpoint. We're gonna serve anybody that comes to us regardless of what they believe. But we're very restricted when it comes to what a family unit looks like, and we're also, and we are, where we allow people, you have to have a state issued photo ID to come into our building. We need to know who you are before you come in. We can't have sex offenders, on our properties because of everything else we do. And if we took federal funds, we don't get to have that kind of restriction.
Any other questions from council?
I was just gonna ask, you have, in Cleveland County, you have the Dover Foundation?
Yes.
Have you all reached out?
Yes, and they have been phenomenal for us, both the Dover and the Hospice Foundation.
Okay, that was the other one I was gonna ask.
Yeah, they've been phenomenal partners. United Way we received United Way funding last year. It was small, but we're super excited about building that relationship with them. The Dover and the Hospice Foundation have been significant, for us, and for the last 3 years, they've allowed us the funding to be able to do the overnight shelter for men. Cause that's seasonal, and I have to hire an additional 12 to 15 men to run that shelter for those 4 months. The funding this year, we had to go to them for a capital need, so we won't get to use that funding for that. So I'm looking for funding to try to continue to do overnight shelter. And in all honesty, working with law enforcement in this area has been phenomenal. I mean, I brag on law enforcement out here all the time, so, but I mean, both city and county, and I'm talking all over, this has been phenomenal.
When I knew probation parole had sent people there as well.
Mhm.
That was a huge need for housing,
Yes.
transitional housing, and I just retired from there, so.
Thank you.
I know that we had a lot of people that would come from Gaston County over to Cleveland, and it's a reality that there is a huge transient population
It is.
there, and they're gonna be displaced because Salvation Army closed.
Exactly.
And they don't have any place, and so
invite any of you all to be able to come and tour. I would love to show you all what we're doing and our desire to be able to do more. I'm normally here a couple times a week. Normally always on a Tuesday. And then whatever other day I need to be here, but running 2 rescue missions have been a little much right now, so.
Yeah, have any idea of why the Gastonia, why they're closing the units, is funding?
It was funded, it was funded, and most, and we're gonna see more of that just because, and I'm saying this not as a negative from a standpoint, we're gonna go through some growing pains, but the executive order is moving us in the right direction. But it's gonna cause some growing pains for those organizations that were totally dependent upon those funds and not really producing the outcomes that was needed. So we're gonna see more people than we saw in the past. I mean, and but it's gonna force organizations to really be accountable. That's probably the best way. I'm trying to find more words with it. That's probably the best way.
Well, the plan's not a long-term housing for them, it's to provide them stability and
Yes.
provide them opportunity to transition into their own and to be able to support themselves. So-
Exactly.
So that's why, like I said, it's a very difficult mission you've got, and you said it best when you said God's working and
That's it.
moving, so, but again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rush.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. President Evans, any Western Carolina fans, you may want to step out.
I'll stay over here.
They had a chance to step out, they should. So, good evening, thanks for the opportunity to be here once again. It's been too long. I appreciate you guys welcoming Carrie last month in my stead. Since our last time getting together, students are back, if you haven't noticed. One thing that we're really excited about that's occurred since then, we were able to host the Cleveland County Jamboree, so super excited to get that back on campus. Hundreds of local families, good high school football, and the turf was completed in time for them to do that. New logo going in within the next week, so appreciate your prayers and fingers crossed and everything you got on that as well. Strengthen our senior leadership staff. Since the last time we spoke, we announced Brendan Fahey will be joining us from Wagner as our new athletic director. There will actually be a community meet and greet next Tuesday at 3 p.m. in Tucker Student Center, so we'd love for you guys to come out and welcome him as you can. He's coming from Long Island, so a little bit of a culture shock in terms of where he's coming from, so come and show him what good hospitality looks like. Other athletic highlights, you teed me up perfectly. Western Carolina, nationally ranked team, we knocked them off. It just came out today that men's soccer is also ranked 13th in the nation. That is top 13 here in Boiling Springs, North Carolina, and they go to take on West Virginia tomorrow, who I believe is number 8 in the country. So pretty heavyweight match this early in the season. But want to encourage you guys to come out to home games. The first football game is the Citadel. Next soccer game is coming up as well. And just want you guys out there. It's home field advantage is something we believe in, and making sure we have folks in the stands is important. Segueing into getting on campus, dining on at Gardner Webb has now transitioned over to Grubhub. If you don't know what that means, find somebody with a smartphone and ask them. But basically, you can order your food ahead of time and have it ready for you when you get there. So Chick-fil-A, Heirloom, which is one of our newest restaurants, the burger place, and several other places. Of course, we've got Starbucks if you've got that craving as well. So the last thing I have, I don't know if he's in here, is Mike. I want to thank you and your team. We had a leak, I would call it, the other night, and you guys addressed that in just a matter of a couple of hours. And so just really thankful for the partnership there, and just the hard work and effort coming out after hours on, I think it was a weeknight. Was it a weeknight? To make sure that was taken care of. So thank you guys for the chance to be here. Appreciate you.
Exciting about people getting on campus.
Yes, come on.
The longest people didn't enter the campus. To have that jamboree and have people on campus, we might get some students, who knows?
Absolutely.
So I think it's fantastic that we're including people outside, inside.
Come on out. Come on out.
Everybody at Crest was highly complimentary of having a garden web. It really was fantastic.
Appreciate it. We were very proud to host it, and, from our perspective, everything went very smooth, so anybody you're talking to, let's do it again next year. I'm not sure who the host high school is, but
It's not us. We only have to wait.
let's, yeah, let's rock and roll, so, thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to speak on an issue that is not on the agenda? All right, we'll move on to the, consent agenda. Do we have to adopt it even though we adopted the agenda? I can't remember how this goes.
Yes, sir.
I ask this question every month. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as written.
Okay, motion from Councilman Thomas, second from Councilman Wood, I think. Ellis, excuse me. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to regular business, the multi-family recycling grant resolution. Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, good evening, council. Let's see here. I've got to click on my screen, I'm sorry. What you've got here, and there's no staff report for this. Typically, when you get an item in your agenda, there's an accompanying staff report, but I really wanted to just discuss this with you all and kind of tease this out. So, we currently offer recycling for residential customers only. Included in that is essentially single-family houses. They'll do duplexes, but they don't do what they consider multi-family. So when you think about that, think about apartments. We've got 4 of those roughly in town. We've got Phillips Village, Varsity Square, Grayson's Ridge, and Wood Creek. There is a grant through North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality that will award us up to $150,000 if we expand our recycling footprint to include one of those 4 recycling complexes. Or I'm sorry, one of those 4 dwelling units. So if we, any kind of multifamily. The thought that I had was, would it be worth council potentially approving this resolution, understanding that I suddenly got louder, I'm sorry, understanding that there's a 10% match, so that's $15,000. And I'm meeting with the team at DEQ next week, and we would potentially be able to put $165,000 towards a new or used, potentially, recycling truck that could be used to supplement our current sanitation fleet. Now, the truck we purchased for $165,000, because that's their $150 plus our $15, it would need to primarily be used for recycling. And we would use that at one of these 4 locations. We're still tooling out which one exactly it would be. I just kind of wanted to gauge what the appetite would be for that, considering we've had so much trouble on the sanitation front lately. I'm sure you all recall the one-armed bandit having some trouble, and then the load off, since it was involved in a wreck, it's just not quite bounced back like we hoped it would. And it's a 2009 model, and it just keeps having some consistent problems. Thoughts, initial thoughts, feedback, comments?
So how many potential customers from just one place? Grayson's Ridge is how many, 16 apartments?
Yeah, I think it is about 16, and I think the other's 24. Grayson's Ridge and Wood Creek, I wanna say there's 16, 24. Mike, you may know off the top of your head, I'm putting you on the spot, I'm sorry.
That's about right.
Phillips Village would not be a good candidate. They're really not a good candidate for trash pickup either, just because of where it's precarious on the road right there. But it's fine. We would prefer that they actually switch from individual cans to dumpster. But, because they put their trash cans along the road on Patrick Avenue currently, so our trash truck stops on the roads. We really don't wanna add any additional cans out there. But I think our initial thought, or my initial thought at least, was to look at either Wood Creek, or Grayson's Ridge. I did not I don't know about Varsity Square, that would be another, because of how spread out it is, and because D Hart Drive kind of splits it in half, it almost seems like we would need one corral over here and one on the other side. But trying to find creative ways to both expand our recycling footprint, but also make sure that we're looking after our sanitation fleet and those needs as they come up.
But we could do something less than a 90-gallon rollout container. We could do a bin like a lot of the other cities had in the past.
Yeah, they,
Since it's a smaller unit, closer, more compact, we could just do some type of bins instead of a rollout cart.
yes, and they're very flexible. So it's not to say that we would get the whole 150. They may say, well, we can give you 60 grand, you can buy the bins, you know, and we can pour some concrete pads if that's what we chose to apply for. The resolution here just allows us to apply for the maximum amount of funding, and then we would build that grant application over the next month and be able to submit it. We would not obligate ourselves to more than the maximum amount. So we wouldn't take this and go buy a new trash truck.
I would hope we'd be in a good standing with that if we did move forward, just since we're the only municipality left doing recycling in the county.
Yes, and they know that. I told them that. We've met several times over the past year or so. They're the, if you all remember back during the budget season, we discussed our Republic contract. So these are the individuals who vetted that contract and told us it was a good gig for recycling. They're also the ones who, when we looked at alternative sanitation providers, they're the ones who looked at that and determined it was our best return on investment was to keep that in-house. I don't know how that metric would change if we needed to add purchasing another trash truck. As you all may remember, we just cut the check in August for the final payment, the final $34,000 payment on our other trash truck. And so now that it's paid off, it was on the fritz. So that seems to be how that works.
What is the contract with Republic? Do you know off the top?
105.
Do you mean the amount, the annual? It's 100 this year, and then it goes up 5%, so it'll be 105 next year.
And are we locked in next year, or is that a year?
We are locked into a 3-year, but it's not really locked in. It's actually very flexible. We can cancel with notice.
Just a thought, and I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have an opinion one way or the other, but if we didn't want to expand our recycling footprint and we got out of that contract, that money could go towards a trash truck as well. So that's just maybe a different angle at it. I'd be curious to really know. I'm curious to know where recycling really goes. I'm curious about it, so I've read some things. But I just, a different angle of how to obviously deal with sanitation, which is necessary, but that's enough.
So we would have a truck potentially, and we would have employees picking up recycling, and what would we do with the recycling?
We would take it, so Republic takes theirs to a Burke County Recycling, it's got a name, it's like RMF, Recycling Management Facility, I think is what it is. And so they have one that they are the sole proprietor of in Burke County. We could not use that one. The one we would have to use is in Conover, but we would not be expected to run a recycling route every day. So it would be a once-a-week route that our guys ran. They currently run with the dump truck a route. Do they run it? I'm sorry, Mike, I'm all over it today. They run that route 5 days a week now for business cardboard, I think.
Yes.
So they go to 4 businesses every day. Well, I don't think they go to 4 every day, but they go to a combination of 4 businesses every day roughly to collect cardboard. So that's Napa, the pharmacy, Quick Snack, and the snack shop.
And where do they take it?
That goes into, it's not real recycling, it goes into the load all that we then take to the landfill. As long as it's not polluted, the Cleveland County landfill allows us to put it into cardboard recycling, and then I don't know where it goes. But if it is polluted or contaminated, because the other garbage truck is down, we have to put it in with regular trash, so we incur the tipping fee. So long as it's just cardboard, we don't incur a tipping fee. Just for transparency's sake, there is no current charge in the fee schedule for that service.
Would this be mixed use like we do in the cans now?
I think that would be the goal, but they are open to any scope of acceptance. And so, because we've talked about, because we currently have a cardboard only route, we've discussed having just cardboard pickup. And I've discussed that with the team at DEQ, and they were interested in that, so long as we're open to expanding it if there is a demand for expansion.
If we did this, would every resident in that area be required to pay a fee?
So that's the part where DEQ and I are hung up right now, because their answer is yes. My answer is, I don't know how we assess a fee to every resident in Grayson's Ridge without giving each of them a rollout cart, if that makes sense. Because the typical model that we use, we all pay $8.50 a month for your cart, or your can. They, at Grayson's Ridge, if we have a central depository, we will not have, we wouldn't necessarily, because everybody doesn't have a cart, we wouldn't necessarily assess them that way. The other part of that is we could certainly build into the fee schedule a multifamily recycling option. And I'm not looking at Rhonda, but we could build in a multifamily recycling option that was potentially at a lesser rate. Maybe everybody pays $1 because you have one communal bin, rather than everybody paying $8.50 because you have a cart. But the problem with that would be, we are gonna have to draw the line somewhere between I live in a duplex, which is multifamily, versus I live in an apartment, which is multifamily, because right now a duplex has a cart. Like the duplexes there on Hillcrest Street, they all have carts. Now, that is a duplex multifamily, well, that's multiple families, but the state doesn't regulate them as multifamily. Quadplexes or below are in the single family regulation, so I imagine that's what we're gonna adopt. I don't think my answer helps to clear the water.
One of the issues I have is, one that I think Daniel alluded to, there's hopefully a misconception out there that when they recycle, it just ends up in the regular landfill. And when I became a council member, I think once we had the guy from Republic stand in front of us and dispute that. So I still use that by saying, if that's not happening, then the guy from Republic stood before us and told us that was not happening. But there still is that. I got a neighbor who doesn't recycle. I just talked to him. I said, why don't you recycle? He said, it all goes to the same place. I tried to tell him that I didn't think that was true, but I didn't win him. The other issue I have is we actually don't have any way of knowing how many people who are paying for recycling who never use it. Which I think on my street, there's a few. If I just look, on the day we put our recycling cans out, and you see, some may miss every once in a while, but there's a couple who, and I know one of them personally, because he's the one I talked to, he never puts his out. So, I wish there was some way we could gauge how many people are actually using the recycling that they're paying for.
Remind me what your
That's
first question was.
That's a different issue. My issue was, I wonder if really the question is just a statement. The statement was.
Real recycling.
Real recycling.
Yes.
And maybe time to have the gentleman come back again, so he could assure us that that's not happening, and we could go on public record or saying, if that's happening, the Republic misled us.
So I don't have a gentleman contact. I have a female, her name is Sharon Parks, and we spoke, during budget time, she's the person who prepares our annual contract and gives us the notification of increase in fee. And we discussed it robustly, because I told her I don't do well pretending and faking, so I needed to know that we were actually contributing to recycling and not contributing to a landfill. And she assures me that our recycling is actual recycling, that it doesn't get mixed into a landfill. But she presented to the Rotary Club, so I'm certain she would love to come and talk to y'all.
And I'm not one of those, I think it's good, but I mean, it's still out there.
Right.
People still think, well, it just goes to regular garbage.
Every time she comes, she brings gifts. So she's got little Republic stress ball trash cans. She brings them to me. Mike's got he's got dumpster business card holders. So, but
this is something that you said needs to,
Good.
like, this is timely. Is that
Yes,
how you
sir.
mentioned it? So if we don't,
You know,
we either do it tonight or we don't,
Yes, sir.
essentially.
If it's something,
I got mixed feelings about it myself, actually.
But if we do the grant and we receive less, I mean, we can always opt to say, no, we don't need it. We can always choose not to do it,
they're very, so
or can we?
they are, we can, they're very flexible, I think because of the political climate and because it's recycling, they feel like that may or may not be something that people are no longer interested in the coming months. And, so they are wanting to get the money obligated and out the door sooner rather than later. And so we can apply for a truck or we can apply to pour concrete. They will do, there's a pantheon of things that the grant will pay for. Any way that we expand our footprint is approved. They'll pay for us to put vinyl stickers on the cans that show what you can put in them. They'll also buy cans. So, if nothing else, we'll just order more recycling cans that we were gonna order anyway, and use the grant funds for that.
So are you proposing that if we bought a truck, it would be for the multi-use only, or it would be for everything?
Its primary use would be for the multi-use recycling. What happens the other 4 days, and probably 4 days and 5 hours, that it was not being used for multifamily recycling, would be up to Mr. Fields and the Public Works Department out there on, if a truck went down, and I talked about that with them, I was very upfront in the conversation. And they said, its purpose is recycling, so that we can expand to one of these areas, and in theory, if it works well, we'll expand to another one. Which I don't think anybody would necessarily be opposed to. But if we needed to use it as a backup garbage truck, that would not be an issue. You can use them interchangeably. So just because it's trash Monday, it can be recycling on Tuesday and then back to trash on Wednesday. That's not a problem for the truck or for them. I always imagine you'd have to clean it or something in between, but apparently that's not real. It's just in my head.
Other comments or questions?
But it is something that the staff and you are interested in us doing.
Yes, sir. I think, especially considering the amount of downtime we have experienced now. And I'll tell you, we had initially, my thought was we would apply for it and buy a truck that I know is coming up for sale on Gov Deals because a neighboring municipality is surplusing theirs because they just got a grant to replace one and it's too small. The problem with that specific truck is it takes, Jason has to drive to the landfill twice during the day because it's too small for our route. So he ends up going there and back twice, so it's not really an effective backup either. That was my initial thought, was we'll just buy their truck because there's nothing wrong with it. They just got a grant because they have, their median household income is significantly lower.
And as far as our staffing, we have enough people to take care of that without having to hire more staff to.
Yes, so all of our public works employees are CDL. They're required to have a commercial driver's license to be able to operate trash trucks. Mr. Jabert has the highest standard.
But how would we enforce a fee, if we decided to charge a fee for recycling? How would we enforce that fee on residents of an apartment that are probably using dumpsters now?
So, I think initially, we can tool all of that out at a later date. We don't have to have that decided tonight. If we are gonna go into that, we can assess the fee on their water bill, like we currently assess everybody else one. They just, instead of having, the $8.50 for its recycled inside, they would have recycle multifamily, something like that on there, and it would be whatever that fee is, along with their water bill. And we can look at those specific nuances as we get into it. We're not committed to taking the money at this point, we're not purchasing anything. This just allows us to apply for the grant, it doesn't actually obligate us to take the grant. Nor does it allow us to purchase anything with the funds.
The only worry I have is that, some of these places, people are living on fixed incomes and, could be disabled adults, it could be Section 8 housing, those type of things, and I just would not want to put some type of fee on there that would, not that $4 or $8.50 would jeopardize their living, but it could really add more stress and anxiety and financial difficulties.
Absolutely, and I think the town's commitment to, individuals' fixed incomes, I don't do a good job of articulating that. That's why, we've committed to keeping that first 2,000 gallons free on the water bills and the sewer bill, because that protects people on a fixed income. Because disproportionately, people on fixed income don't use more than 2,000 gallons, of water or sewer, so that's traditionally why we've held that the same. And I don't do a good job of articulating that to people. So with their base rate may go up, their volumetric rates aren't going up as much, because typically they're under 2,000 gallons a month. But I do agree that we're always need to be sensitive to people who are on fixed incomes.
Mayor, I move that we move forward the resolution, then if we get the grant, we'll work these issues out at a later time.
Okay, Councilman Green with that motion is
Second.
there a second from Councilman Thomas? Further questions or comments on the issue? If not, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? All right, that resolution is adopted. And we will open up the public hearing, at 7:10, regarding the lease renewal at 101 North Main for the U.S. Post Office. Mr. Manager, I'll let you brief everyone first.
Oh, thank you, sir. You have got in front of you, post office lease. So this is page 18 to page 50 in your agenda packet. The overwhelming majority of this is standardized through the post office. This is the same lease that we approved, that Kitty Hoyle and the Hoyle family, Hamrick sisters had approved back when they had the post office lease. It includes the maintenance rider that we discussed. Something I do want to draw your attention to just off the top. Initially, we started out at $37,752, and then over the process of negotiations with the post office agent, we brought that up to 47, and there's an error in your staff report. I left out a 7, so it's 47,770. I put an extra 0 in there, so instead, but I left off $70, so sorry, I apologize. But 47,770, so it's roughly a $10,000 increase per year. What you'll see on page 20 is the commission agreement, and so we are under no obligation to pay this commission agreement. The post office has signed with JLL to negotiate all of their leases across the country. JLL then builds into the base lease agreement what they consider to be their commission. So for instance, on this agreement, they take the annual rental amount of $47,770, multiply that by the term of the lease, which is 5 years, and that gives you the aggregate lease value, which they then take 4% of, and deduce that their commission should be $9,554. And so their statement is, to me, that $9,500 is why the lease went up by 10 grand, is because we baked in our commission. That's very nice. We did not hire JLL. They are not ours. So we are, and they know, I have talked to Mr. Chatterjee at length. They know that we are under no obligation to pay them anything. And so we've got that's what the letter on 19 going into 20 just explains that, the post office has hired them, we get a form letter from the post office that explains that to me. I spoke with so we are in the United Postal Lessors Association, it's the association of people who rent buildings to the post office. And I spoke with our representative from there, and he informed me that we are under no obligation to pay JLL. And so we could, if we so chose, but we don't have to. So, up to the board. This is a 5-year lease. It will conclude on October 31st of 2030. And so there are no renewals, there are no early termination rights. I don't have anything else, Mr. Mayor.
Is anyone from the public that would like to speak on this issue?
Post office?
Yes, sir. Please, if you can, come up to the microphone and state your name.
Come up there?
Yes, please.
Oh, I didn't know this was gonna happen. No, my name is Richard Smith, live in Highland Pines, right across from elementary school. Lived here 30 years. No, I wasn't expecting to speak, but you asked, and concerning this post office. I only have one comment to say. How many of y'all go to the post office in Shelby, downtown Shelby, to do business? Any of you? I do on occasion. Occasion.
Just because you're there, right?
I'll close with that remark. I'll ask you to visit there one time. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
But
Anyone else like to speak during this public hearing on the lease agreement for the post office? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:15. Council, questions, comments?
I don't know how others feel, but I feel we don't pay the lease company anything. We got nothing to do with it.
And that's my worry, so we're agreeing to a contract and it's in the contract, so I mean, how do we say we're not gonna pay what's in the contract? I mean,
So we are
so our agreement's with the post office, not with LL or whatever.
Yes.
That's how I saw
so
it.
that on page 20,
It's actually got their name, it's,
yes.
James Long, Sal, American Incorporated.
That's their lease agreement, that's the commission agreement, so that would say we accept the yes, the $9,500 that we would pay JLL.
Is this the second time we've done a lease with the post office?
Yes. Well, I think one time we just transferred.
We transferred it once, and then we did meet about it to discuss it, and then, this is so this should be
That doesn't really matter. My question would go back to the first time or second time, or how many times we've done this. Has this type of agreement been written in any other one that we agreed with the post office?
the commission agreement.
Yes.
When we transferred it, no, because Ms. Hoyle, my assumption is that they would have executed this commission agreement initially. The transfer agreement wouldn't have had a commission agreement with it.
But have we not done a subsequent one since then, or is this our first one since
No,
then?
this is our first one.
Okay.
What are they gonna do? Where they gonna go? They can't move.
is this commission one time or is it annual?
It is a one-time commission.
One time
Yes,
commission
sir.
for the entire
It's probably gonna be,
Yes.
it's probably gonna be in there every time we renew the lease. Unless they,
As long as they are the broker.
right.
So on page 20, item number 1 says that the leaseholder will pay the broker and the broker will accept this compensation. And it has us as the party there. I mean, so that's what I'm saying, how do we, if this is part of the agreement, how are we not obligated to that?
So
If you go
this,
down the bottom of that page where it's signed, this is looks to me like almost a separate agreement. Where it's got the
Yes.
leases company, they sign it and then we sign it.
Maybe that's a question for John or somebody else, I mean, I don't know. Because the post office added this in
dependent on this. It would be that post office would pay their broker fee. It's renewal of the lease, you know, it's like you rely on the broker to go find a tenant. And I'm not part of the conversations, with this, I don't know if this is standard across the board with the way the US Postal Service operates or what, but I can't.
I would say if it comes time to sign it, and we don't sign that, and then we don't sign the rest of the lease.
So on page 25 of your lease there, that is the signature page. So we disclose that we don't have any of these conflicts of interest under A and B and then C. And then it says the person signing the lease certifies under penalty of perjury that he, she, they has the full power and authority to bind the landlord named below, Town of Boiling Springs. So that's the part we are executing.
Yep. And I
And then
noticed that
that's
even,
to the postal service.
even after that, the management companies, it actually has the W-9 where they're requesting our taxpayer identification number. To me, that's just a separate agreement altogether.
Yes.
Otherwise, why, the post office has our W-9 information.
Yes.
So why are they, if it's not,
And that's,
that's the way I see it now. I'm not in favor of paying it either way, whatever it takes. If they want that in there and they're not gonna sign the lease without it in there, then I say we don't sign the lease.
You know, it's a separate and distinct from the lease, and I don't know what their position is on it by way of, I mean, to me, I think they need it, they pay it, they don't choose not to.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's their, you know, it's their broker that they're contracting with, and that's all negotiable. I mean, you know, you could, take it 2,000, just, or yeah, whatever, pick a number, or none.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's initially what, I can't remember the guy's name, when we started, when I spoke with the Postal Assessors Association person back in February, he said sometimes what landlords would do is say, okay, well, we're not gonna pay you $9,500, I'll give you $1,000, take it and go away and bill the post office for the rest.
it sounds like they've just then made it palatable by upping the first, upping your rent, so you essentially, the increased rent for the first year, you can cover their commission, and then the remaining 4 years, you're getting more rent than you've been getting. I guess is what how they're selling their services in town. They've increased the rent, offsets that cost, and you get 4 years of more rent than you got before. Is that essentially?
Yeah, and so we net $40,000 roughly over the life of the lease.
So I wonder how the post office would feel about this if we cancel this out. If it wouldn't matter to them one way or the other.
I don't speak, so we don't speak directly to the post office. We speak to JLL, and then they turn
These
around.
people?
Yes, because they're the broker. So then they turn around and they tell the post office whatever they say to the post office.
For every post office in the country.
I'm not sure about that. Now, that is certainly what I suspect.
Okay, I thought you mentioned at the beginning that that was
Yeah,
the case.
that's what I suspect. Because that's what I have at least been led to believe, but I've not independently verified that.
My only concern is if we pay them nothing and then they somehow would renege, I mean, this is a good deal for the town. So I wouldn't wanna lose the lease at the post office over, not offering something, but I mean, maybe we offer nothing, they come back and say, well, if you don't offer anything, then you don't have a contract. That's my question. I don't know how that would go if you say we're not offering you anything.
And my response to that is, where's the post office going? It's not something they can just say tomorrow, we got another place, we're gonna move. I think we're in the driver's seat. The way I see it.
But we have a lot of money on that building, and this is $47,000 a month that we're looking to gain without having to push for another tenant that's never gonna pay that much.
Well, so
That's
we
annual.
roll over and pay it,
Annual.
pay it,
Yeah.
then we pay it. And that's two choices we got, pay it or don't pay it. I'm in favor of not paying it, at least initially.
execute the lease with this company, and then if they say we need the $9,000, $10,000 payment, whatever, we say no, then what happens? Then it's litigation or something.
Potentially, Mr. Schwebe, that probably more of a question for you about the litigation aspect of them claiming some kind of damage because we don't we execute the lease absent the commission agreement?
I assume it's just two separate, they're not mutually exclusive kind of things, you know, you know, they they're dependent on the other. And I'm just trying to read through to see, you know, I don't know if there's any sort of ongoing, you know, if there's an issue with the lease, that the town needs to enforce, that the post office isn't doing in terms of what they're obligated to, are you going through JLL? I mean, they,
We have a contact in Greensboro,
okay,
like when they want the snow shoveled,
yeah.
even though our maintenance writer says we don't shovel their snow. So we did quote them some prices on shoveling their snow, but, that went through the Greensboro
And
office.
so this is purely then just, this is an ongoing agency agreement, they're just, and we, think Greenberg, negotiated, I don't know how much negotiation they have done, but presented a lease that's with, more value, and so therefore their, of course, their commission is based on that calculation, and I can't speak to whether that's, you know, standard percentages or not, or the calculation itself, but,
It appears to me that as part of the lease, it wouldn't require a separate signature and a separate,
the commission agreement does, you have to sign an agreement to pay it.
yeah. But I mean, if it's just part of the lease, why would it require a separate signature?
That's not,
It is separate, right?
It's separate, right, it's, you know, the town will be signing, obligating, agreeing, and consenting to the payment of that amount. Separate is separate than signing the lease agreement itself.
On the JLL USPS website, it says disclaimer, please note neither the USPS nor JLL shall pay cooperating brokerage commissions. Tenant buyer brokers shall seek commission compensation, if any, from the tenant buyer only.
Said shall see.
Maybe that's a federal deal, you know, about what they can and can't do.
They're not gonna pay it.
We can, if the board is inclined, you could pass a motion approving the lease, allowing me to negotiate with JLL up to whatever that amount is, whatever amount the board would be comfortable with. And we could negotiate, so you could say to me that we're willing to sign the lease and pay them up to
Zero.
$95.54, if that's what you all were inclined to do.
I don't think you're gonna get that from us.
Well, that is certainly up to the board, but I just mean, and then I could go back to them and say, we're gonna give you nothing, and then if they come back and say, well, then we're gonna throw the whole thing out the window, and they're going to dip into federal efficiency and move the post office between now and the conclusion of, Halloween.
Well, I say we cross that bridge when we get to it.
Which they've not done in how many years?
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Like,
really
we never
lucrative.
said that, why does everybody go to Shelby, because they don't like where the post office is?
Yeah. Well, it's a lucrative post office too, because it's predominantly PO boxes and it's money to them coming in. I mean, it's a position that they want to be in, they want to stay.
And also benefits from college helps them out
Benefits
too, because they
university.
pick up the mail and they distribute their own mail, they have their own mailboxes, so they do a lot of the work for them, the postmaster there gets credit for the mail going through it.
You may recall, we got a letter last summer, 24, that told us it was in our best interest to sign the lease then, in the amount of $39,000. So I will say, they've not exactly always been, I mean, they're under no obligation to advocate for us. And that's abundantly clear by the letter we got last year saying, 39 is the offer, you'd be good to sign it now. It's in your best interest to sign today.
So if we were to pay the commission, where's that come out of? What kind of fund does it come out of? General fund?
Yes, sir. It would come out of the general fund because the general fund services the debt for the building, which.
And that's to my point was, to the mayor's point was, I mean, what other tenant's gonna go in there that's gonna give us that kind of payment? And we have a lot of payment to pay on the buildings. I would hope that we find some way of working that out and, moving forward with that and, with the hopes one day that the post office will be moved to a different location. So,
But it's guaranteed for 5 years, and this federal government, you're gonna get your money.
Yeah.
If you have another vendor in there, a private vendor, they might stay a year, they might stay 2.
But I don't think you do 47,000.
No, you probably won't get $15 a square foot.
Yeah.
So if you, if the board wants me to try to negotiate it with them, certainly we can do that. If you all want me to just say, no, we're not gonna sign it and we're not gonna pay you anything, happy to do that. Open to all options.
So the question is, what have they done for you to justify a payment? Right, and what have they done to earn the commission from, you know, through the process of this renewal as a broker? I mean, I think if they can present that, and they can sell you on, make it seem, you know, I certainly don't, I'm not aware of it, but maybe there are some things this broker has done to, you know, that viable improvements or whatever, to the agreements, they brokered this deal, you know, you're getting more money, I think that's one thing, but if it's just as a, I don't know, I don't know what they've done.
And we're responsible for maintenance and upkeep, I mean, to a certain extent of the building.
Yes, so we essentially do the outside of the building, the roof, the HVAC, but anything inside the building, is on the post office, essentially. Now, that does not extend, so they're responsible for mulch, landscape, and shoveling snow, salting, all that's on the post office.
But if they do any remodeling, upgrades, then it's to our benefit, but.
Yes, and they have to let us know that they're doing those things.
Well, we've got a fairly substantial debt to pay for that building, so I'd be in favor of letting the manager negotiate a rate up to 4%.
I have another question, maybe for you, John. Line 10 there on that agreement says, leaseor acknowledges that the client shall pay the entire, or pay the share may be payable to the broker, from the broker to the tenant, if allowed by applicable law, which would tend to make me, somewhere there's a law that says they can't do this, otherwise that statement would not be there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's, typical legalese, you know, I'm not familiar with any sort, but I mean, that's sort of common. Oh, fee share,
Basically saying, this ain't got anything to do with post office, we're paying JV or whoever they are. And that, the post office is basically saying, we ain't got nothing to do with this.
it's, you know, this is talking about whether or not, it's basically splitting that commission. So in other words, this broker going to give, a kickback to the post office for throwing this broker a bone, what looks like to be free money. So that's what the line 10 is talking about. So this 4%, can this broker fee share that with the post office?
Well, line 8 also mentions that if there's a applicable state code or statute, then a lien could be placed on the property.
Well, if
Just
you
security
agree
commission.
and don't, is that when, you know, so if you sign the commission and then don't pay, that will be a remedy that maybe they could do, as a means of trying to secure that payment. But that's when that would, it doesn't come into play unless this contract or this commission agreement would be entered into by the town, they sign it, and then you get paid, and they can, you know, see if those kind of, but that's kind of common anyway, I mean, that's.
I think the council can discuss it all along, depending on what they say too. So there's a, you know, and I'm all opposed to make sure our lawyer, we're doing the due process. I think there's a lot of ifs and uncertainty and stuff, in my mind, what's legal, not legal.
Well, perfectly, I mean, it's common to have, broker commissions and lease agreements, commercial real estate is, this is the foundational, element of it. So it's perfectly fine. This is more, maybe a more unique situation because, you get a renewal, you're dealing with federal government, dealing with an outfit that, to our knowledge, maybe hasn't brokered anything on your behalf, and yet they're getting paid. So there's just questions, maybe they can answer those and make it palatable to pay it, but,
So we need to move forward with some type of negotiation, because we're not just gonna sign the thing outright and pay the 9,000. I mean, that seems to be an appetite from the council. The question is up to 4% or not? And if not 4%, which is what the number is, can we negotiate somewhere below that, but have that as the ceiling? And if not 4%, then what? I think Councilman Litton mentioned up to 4%. I don't know that any motions have been made, but.
No, but to reiterate what you said, they're the sole broker for the USPS. So you're not gonna get to the post office by any other way. It doesn't mean you can't negotiate the rate, or try, but you're not, it's like you said, you don't speak to the post office, you speak to these people. If
No,
they're
you
the
said you
broker.
did not speak to these people, right?
So with regard to this lease, we speak to JLL.
But once the lease is signed,
Once
they're
this
out.
is finished, we've not spoken to this company about any ongoing operations at the post office property. There's a property management division in Greensboro that we speak to.
And I think,
But in 5 years or whenever, then we'll speak to JLL.
That's my assumption.
His job is to broker the lease.
Yeah, then he sets up for
Executed, and he's out until, you know,
5 years.
yeah, it's not gonna be an intermediary in terms of ongoing enforcement of the lease or operations of the lease. It's broker the deal, get it closed, and he's out until the new deal is, time to do the deal.
And presumably, I guess they're doing these all across the country constantly, so they probably are juggling multiple, I guess.
my other question is Mr. Schwager's question, what have they done for us? They done a lot for the post office.
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, in my conversations with Tannen, he doesn't pretend that he is a broker for us. So I think, he knows that he is, I'm under no assumption that he is acting on our behalf. And the way that I've interpreted it and that this reads to me is just that, depending on whatever that rental amount is, the post office assumes we'll pay what's really their broker fee by assessing them a higher annual lease. And we just build the broker fee into the lease. That's what I read into it. And that's why I think that they do it based on the aggregate lease and then that commission rate there at 4%.
But it's a pass-through paying a company $10,000 for doing absolutely nothing other than executing the lease.
Yeah. And then the post office, on their side, they don't have to deal with us
Yeah.
or all the landlords. They just, I'm sure, have a form lease that they send out to everybody and it's the same thing.
And how it benefits us is it pays our debt service for the property we purchased.
Yeah.
Yes, which is, I don't remember the exact number, it's smooth, but it used to be 102
Yeah.
annually. It's down 97? 95, 94, somewhere in there.
So I'd hope we'd be cautious in what we need to do here and with some forethought to get what we can and then negotiate to a different point when it's time to renegotiate. But I'm just one voice, and so.
My first course of action would be we tell them we're not signing. And if they come back and say, well, maybe they can convince us otherwise. I don't think they're just gonna say, well, the lease is gone. I think they need us, we need them.
Do you think the US Postal Service needs us more than we need them?
I do.
The federal
Right now.
government?
Right now, they can do, they're gonna close the post office down. They ain't gonna happen.
So we don't execute the lease right now, what happens? Let's say we table this for tonight, let the attorney, you guys look at it and renegotiate whatever, and then so we go into another month. I mean, the lease is up October 31st.
31st, yes, sir, on Halloween.
So we still have time to execute some kind of lease prior to it expiring.
I think this is still separate though, you can do it, you can approve the feel about the board's concerns and, you know, conclude accordingly, but the lease itself can, you can move forward with, as I understand it.
What's the pleasure of council?
I move we approve the lease without, with the exception of the commission agreement.
Second.
And then we see what they say. And then the ball's in their court. They can say, well, if you don't sign it, we're not.
Well, then you've got till October, you still have
We
next
come
month.
back and we decide what we're gonna do. That next month.
Is it October 1?
31st, Halloween.
So that, so.
Scary
back in
stuff.
October anyway, you'll know.
October 28th,
Got two
that's-
meetings.
you'll actually have 2 meetings.
Not June, October.
That's right.
The big thing was the public hearing. And we've done that now.
Did that.
Yep, so we're good.
So we don't have to do that again if we renegotiate the contract.
Good.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the lease without the commission agreement. Are there further comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
in the meantime, Zach gonna take that in the motion, or can Zach,
Yeah, I think we'll approach them and let them know that we're not going to pay the commission and then see what they say in return.
okay.
And then, depending on what they say in return, we'll say in return.
We'll get back to them.
Any other questions or comments? All right, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Others likewise? All right. Well done, gentlemen. All right, so now we will open a second public hearing on the lease renewal for 103 North Main Street, Statera. That is at 742. Mr. Manager?
Yes, so you have got here the lease for, 42, sorry, for the Statera property. Currently, it is Statera Spa, Statera Massage and Wellness Center. I never can remember the full name. And so you have got a proposed, increase there of roughly $500 per year. Her lease also expires on, 10/31. And so it's got your annual rent of $9,000 up from the current rate of $85.20 per year. This is a 3-year, followed by 2 automatic renewals of 1 year each. And so then during the 2 renewal periods, the annual rent is proposed to be $9,600. And that's for the building that Miss England, I was gonna call her Miss Hammer, the building that Miss England currently rents out. This gets her, so if you remember when we purchased the post office and Statera properties, her lease was not on the same cycle as the post office. And so this will align her lease with the post office lease so that they're both set to expire at the same time. And that way we're moving in sync with the 2 of them since they're conjoined.
Thank you. Anyone from the public want to speak on this particular lease agreement? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:43. Council questions, comments?
I got a question. I see no commission agreement in this lease. Is that correct?
There is not a commission agreement in this lease. I tell you, maybe we should have included one, but no, we did not. There is not one here. And I did speak with, Laura about it, Miss England, so she knows. We discussed it multiple times and she's content, and happy with what's in here. I meant to mention that earlier. I apologize, Mr. Mayor. This is also our standard lease template that you'll see there.
And so the improvements again to the exterior, including the parking lot recently, who paid for the parking lot improvement?
The federal government did.
FEMA.
Yes, Helene flooded that entire area
Great.
and washed all the gravel away.
But any other improvements, this is a standard type thing where we're responsible for exterior building maintenance, to a certain extent, okay?
Yes, and then anything she does to improve the inside becomes part of the fixed asset, which is ours. And if she takes anything and leaves holes in the wall, she has to patch them.
Any Any other questions or comments?
I make a motion to approve the, lease for Shatera.
Okay. Sorry for getting that too.
Yeah.
Councilman Thomas with the motion, is there a second? Second, take your pick. Any further questions or comments? It's probably not in Robert's Rules of Order.
I've got it here if you need to refer to it.
Well, yeah. Sorry, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. All right, that, lease is adopted. All right. The Title IX, I'm not on the front page, but I think Title IX is up next. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay, Mr. Parker, I'll let you take over.
So the Code of Ordinances is arranged into titles. So Title IX, is chapters 90, 91, 92, 93, and 94 of the Town Code of Ordinances. So you've got here in the staff report, as part of our internal evaluation of the Code of Ordinances, we're recommending several changes to Title IX of our Code of Ordinances. It's our general regulations. I intended to send you the red line copy, but apparently when I uploaded it, it didn't work, and then when I sent you the Word doc, it did not work. And so Emily very lovingly printed those off and put them in my box, and I have yet to make it back to my box to retrieve them, but you have a paper copy of those. I don't I'm not tech savvy enough to understand why I can't get it sent, because it works on my computer. But, we're gonna get you that. This is a no vote tonight, just feedback. When we're talking about code enforcement, 99% of the time, this is what we're talking about. These are the things. And so it's the abandoned vehicles, nuisance and damaged vehicles. A lot of that comes from state statute, but you see there in your staff report, the last major update to that section was in 1990. Noise control ordinance, which was last updated in 2013. Animals, which we've done some with in 2022 when we looked at farm type animals and livestock. Before that was 2007. I did not suggest any changes to chapter 93, which governs the Broad River Greenway. But the last change to that was 2008. Before that was 1999, which is when most of it was adopted. And then unlawful conditions on private property. So the 99% code enforcement complaints we get, 99% of those, probably not, 90% of them are in chapter 94. That's like your grass is too tall, you've got vegetation.
You throw your vegetable scraps out to the corner of your yard.
I was not gonna say
Is that one?
It is, but I was not gonna use that as an
Full
example.
disclosure, a complaint was filed against your mayor, so I did clean it up immediately. I also talked to my civics classes about what freedom really is anyway, if you can't wear your lawn out inside your own yard, but anyway, go ahead.
Yes, that's, but all of those things, so what I want to do as we're coming up on a year after the hurricane. And so we've been gracious with folks, we've been understanding, but it is time now to get back on the pitch and to make sure that folks are doing what they are required to do by our local ordinances. And so we're wanting to redouble our code enforcement efforts. But what I want to make sure before I steer the ship down that potentially treacherous isthmus is that we are all fully aware of the code and of the ordinances that we are going to start enforcing. Again, not really start enforcing, but that we're going to ramp up enforcement of. And so I wanted to make sure you all were comfortable with these and happy with these before we really started engaging in targeted activities, if that makes sense. And I think the importance part of this, I'll draw you to page 72, which is section 94.99, and that is enforcement. And that tells you there how you all have, or previous councils have ordained for us to enforce these ordinances. And so it's got here, we will deliver them. It talks about how we give them 10 days notice. Talks about how we go about doing that. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can do any of those methods. And then if they don't comply within 10 days, then it goes into, you're in violation of this chapter. And so we assess a civil penalty to them, and it's $50 per day per violation. So I have, in a previous life, been a part of code enforcement, and we ended up having to go to court because we had someone who owed $14,000. And so it very quickly can metastasize. Now, what we don't want to do, I don't think, my approach would not be to drop the hammer on someone and absolutely cripple them with the ordinance. But what we do need to do is get people on a path toward rehabilitation and making sure that they clean up, or that they become compliant with the ordinance so that we may live harmoniously in our town.
And doing that, do you document it, or?
Absolutely.
I think that's what the procedure is when you're telling them.
Yes, sir. So we meet with them, we document, we take photos. They are very well aware. We give them a letter that they sign, so we send it certified mail. Or if it comes back, we go and post it on their door and take pictures of us posting it on their door, so that when and if we have to go to court, a judge knows that we made every possible attempt to get in touch with them. In theory, we can abate the problems ourselves. So, for instance, in the example we were provided, we could have had the general maintenance staff go out and collect the yard waste. And then we could have billed the landowner for the time spent on the yard waste collection, if that's what we want to do. Or we can even take it out to public bid and have a private company come in. Other municipalities do this frequently, where they select one grass cutter contractor for code enforcement. So every time there's somebody who has a nuisance lawn, they give them a letter. 10 days later, the guy comes to cut your grass, and we send you the bill, and if you don't pay it, we put a lien on your property. That's very, very common. But no decision on this tonight. It's just something I wanted to get to you, and for us to pick back up in October. And we'll get you those red line versions. I don't know why they're not sending via email.
But this sort of changes from a complaint-based type enforcement to a more proactive enforcement.
Yes, sir. That is that's what we're hoping to achieve.
And we have some pretty significant issues in some properties in town.
We do.
And I think we're gonna run into the same problem there, so I hope that we can be fair and consistent. And there's a point, at some point, like Daniel's talking about, where are we free to be free on our own property? And if you can't dispose of a watermelon, it just seems a little bit crazy to me. So I hope that we be very cautious in how we apply that, and that we be fair and consistent. Because there might be situations, again, where somebody is in a bad situation, health-wise or otherwise, can't cut their grass, can't remove junk cars because they're just don't have the money to do that. And so I think there's a point somewhere in between all that where we are trying to keep our town as beautiful as possible, but we also are good neighbors to the people who live here as well. So anyway, that's all my point.
And I would say to that, there certainly needs to be broad discretion for common sense enforcement. And I will say a huge partner in that, even now, has been Gardner Webb, because Coach Elliott is always willing to volunteer the wrestlers to clean out culverts that are blocked, or to cut grass, or to move furniture, or whatever. He's always volunteering their services, and so he does that frequently. And that's an example of somebody says, I had my knee replaced, I can't get out there and cut my grass. And we can always reach out to them and see if there's a community partner willing to help us with that. And there always has been.
Yeah, that was my point. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I do not have anything on that unless there's any other questions. And we'll get y'all those red line versions. Don't leave without them. I know you're gonna wanna read that over the next month. All right, Mr. Mayor, I have 12 remarks. Tonight we are joined by Stanley Crowder, who is back here with Interim Chief Gant. And Stanley, stand up back there. He is our newest police reserve officer, and so he is completing his training And Chief Gant is keeping his eye on him, he says. They go way back.
And better keep that, better have a strong eye, keep on this fellow.
Yes, so, but we are excited to have Stanley. And so he's been out learning the roads and keeping burning the wheels off the car. So he's keeping his thumb on it. So we appreciate that.
I would like to say one thing. It's an honor to be here. It really is. I know all y'all in different ways and all like that, and attorney and all, it's an honor to be here. It really is. It's an honor.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
The first item on my manager report is always cancel the meeting next week for the subcommittees. But I do need us to meet next week, because I need us to talk about some structural arrangements. We'll have that report from the Richardson Investigative Group at that point, that looks at the police department structure and that completed SWOT analysis with some recommendations. That meeting is scheduled for 5:30. Is that gonna be a conflict for a majority of the board? If so, we can try to push that out.
What date is that?
Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll be out of town, but I'm out of town as well next Tuesday.
Okay,
So can we, is there a way that we can,
I'll email it to you.
reschedule that for later in the month?
We can do that.
What about those who could be here next week, we keep miss that?
Yeah.
We can meet twice. That doesn't bother me a bit.
Well, I think it.
Yeah, we
it-
have on my
yeah.
calendar. We get on the calendar every month, right? And that always,
I don't wanna say that.
we cancel.
So I think we can try to find a date later in the month. That will work.
Does that push it back? Or you let the information that you're needing or you just discussion?
No, it was really for me to present's not really even the right word, to give you all the report and recommendations from them. I didn't take part in any of it. And so that's really the function of it, and then for us to discuss it as a group, what kind of where you all wanna go from there. We can push that back. Tracy will have to do, an update, that'll be okay. Let's see, we will find, a time.
You wanna try to set one now or you
What,
want?
16?
Is 6:30 a better time, Tracy says?
it's not time for me next week. I'm just not gonna be here that day.
Let's see. So if we push back one more week, so the planning board meets on the 16th.
I was just thinking, if we could come up with a date, that was,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
some of us schedule something else.
Well, it may be easier to go and nail it down when we're all here. So
Yeah.
the whole week of the 8th is out for the group. Okay, that's fine. The 15th, this room is open. We are open the 17th, but that's a Wednesday for church. On the 18th, I have to replace my air filter at home, but I can restart that.
Oh, you can do that, Mike?
Yeah.
15th,
I got a cake out on the 18th.
Yes, you do. I'm sorry.
And they're
I have
fitting us
that-
well this time.
I have that right here. That's one of my announcements.
I'm not gonna miss that.
15 works, I think.
15th?
15th works.
Yeah,
I'll be
15th.
from the 6th to the 20th, so, I mean, but if you guys can work it out, I've got confidence in this.
By the 15th?
15th at 5:30, 5 o'clock,
5:30.
5:30, okay, completely up to you all. Tracy, will you mark that down? Okay, good. If I try to add to the calendar, it ain't gonna work right.
And if you could send me just what, some of the discussion that night,
Yes, sir.
if, please.
Absolutely.
All right.
And what we'll do, I will, as soon as I have the completed report, I will send it to all of you. I just don't have the completed report yet.
Send us a reminder.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Music on Main Craft Fair is October 4th. Registration is open for craft vendors. We've got a good number. But if you know some craft folks, send them our way. Tracy is out beating the bushes. And so she is heavily recruiting. She is at 26 applications. What's that say? Oh, we got 57 spaces. So if we fill up every space in the front, we'll have 57. But but we've got 26 so far, so Tracy is happy with that. I think people seem to like those, not those craft fairs, I mean, but they seem to like the car show in the front. I don't know what your feelings on that.
And the stage out in front too, why did you?
Yes.
That was really good.
What people's thoughts on that were. Christmas parade, no float for Santa. So, couple options here. I said put him on the gator, but that was not popular.
It's not popular, or it's not popular.
That's what I heard. Me personally, I didn't see him on the gator. But I heard from other people that it was unpopular, so I just didn't knew it was. But we can look at moving the dates. If that's,
Move it back to where, let's move it, yeah, we move it Saturday, let's move it.
we can. I have the list of other people's dates right here in front of me.
What is gonna be the state of the road during that time?
So the intersection itself should be fine. The rest of the road along South Main Street will probably not be fine unless we are further behind than I believe we will be. If that makes sense. So I imagine it will be contained to North Main Street, and then we would need to potentially turn. And Tracy and I have already kicked this around. We can't decide if we want to turn down West College or East College. If we go down West College, we would utilize Memorial Drive for part of the folks to break off, assuming that Gardner Webb allows it. And then we would use Stadium Drive for some of the larger floats to travel down. But we're trying to tool that out in our heads.
Are we looking at in conjunction with the Christmas tree lighting? Like we
Yes,
did?
sir.
I know it was.
We are. And we had set the date at, we had set that date initially. It's just I didn't know if, because Santa is not gonna be on a float, is that gonna be a deal breaker? We can look for other things that will carry Santa, not a fire truck, but maybe like a carriage? I don't know.
An antique car, convertible or something.
An antique car or convertible we could look into. Or if we wanna get wild, we can move it back to the date that it was before, which would be on the 30th. And that conflicts with the tree lighting ceremony in Shelby and the Forest City Christmas Parade. That was it, yep. So then the keeping it on the 6th is the day that Kings Mountain has and the day that Spin Down and Rutherford's have. And I distinctly remember last year we had a conversation that we could not dodge everyone. So, dealer's choice.
There's another option.
Okay.
Cancel the parade and expand the downtown part, have a more of a festival downtown. Just a thought went through my head there. I think everybody really liked the parade and the tree lighting. I think that went real well together.
Mr. Green, I'm worried if we cancel the parade this year, that we will have a hard time getting participants to come back next year.
And I wasn't really, I just thought that when I wasn't opposed to that. The other option too, the other concern of that is the parade, if we can't do the parade the way it needs to be done, you know, sometimes we might get more criticism from doing one that's not done well than not doing one at all. So I think if we're gonna do it, we need to really
Do it.
do it. And I don't know that I would think we'd wanna go down this, because a lot of the people gather from the traffic light down. So
Right.
the streets disrupted there, I don't know if we wanna go that way.
And it would still be passable. It's not gonna be blocked, it's just that the Gardner Webb side of the street would be hindered. Depending on where they are.
But if we turned it east, it would also highlight our town hall and our Christmas tree festival lighting. There's plenty of, parking in there.
Yeah.
With businesses and it would affect those businesses as far as their operations to a certain extent. But, it might be worth, exploring.
Could go down the old Roosters lot and turn back, just to break up.
And go down Hammer It seems like we wanna keep the day the same, which is the sixth.
And I wanna find Santa's appropriate, right?
And we'll find Santa something that's not a gator.
No, not something that's not a gator.
Oh,
We need to find something that's appropriate.
see, that's the trouble I'm gonna have, is defining what appropriate means, cause appropriate to Tracy and to me are completely different.
I could imagine,
Yeah, I promise.
I'm more Tracy on
Well,
that.
I said put him on side by side and just have a good time with it, but we'll get him on the antique tractor.
I don't think that's, telephone on right.
We'll get it down there.
Moving forward, though, I've already been told by the float company that if we continue to stick with this first Saturday in December, they will not ever be able to provide us with a float.
The reason being,
All of their floats are already reserved to larger communities.
When do they want us to
we
do
don't
it?
have conflict.
I tried to
Didn't have
book it for,
conflict the
for
other
next year, and they told me they were already booked.
Kings Mountain and Spindale Rutherfordton are both on the sixth. We save money by not buying a float. I know that's.
It's not about money.
Well, we can, that's what, we can take the float money and find something else for Santa to ride in. Like a sports car.
Sports car, antique car.
Did we like the Nissan thing last year where they let us borrow cars?
Yes,
Was that easier for you all?
yes.
Okay, we can probably swing that again. We'll get Tracy to say pretty please. Okay, we'll find Santa something that is appropriate. And then we'll keep the parade, tree lighting to follow. Okay, good. Oh, I'm sorry. That's, it's like you're reading my notes. Who would you all like to be the Grand Marshal? We can go into closed session to discuss this because it's an honorarium. So,
No closed session tonight.
that was I had promised that to folks, but I don't know.
I have somebody in mind, I'm not, we want to stay right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can think about it and get back to you.
Yeah, send me, yes, we'll follow up on that, but I think that we're similar in our thinking. Okay, cool now. Wall Avenue sewer line replacement is ongoing. The repaving will take place later this fall, because we've got to let the gravel and the dirt settle in and come back like it's supposed to, yada yada. He's being pulled off that project because we've had a water main explosion over here on West College, and for some reason Gardner Webb needs water. I don't know.
I always need something.
Yeah, I tell you what.
They've got a spray.
These people in their water. But, so we're gonna, since he's already in town, we can get Levi over there, and so he's gonna, do a patch there.
We send the fire truck down there once we give him a shower.
Yeah, it'll be fine. They can just hold out cups. You all have a photo opportunity, so Gardner Webb's photography class, something along those lines, is coming out to do headshots of local businesses and town hall staff, and also you. That is on October 22nd.
What's the term headshot?
From 10 a.m. to noon.
I was in the military, headshot.
These will be, I can't say it that way either.
What was the date on that?
again?
October 22nd at 10 a.m. until noon. Tracy will schedule times with you, so if you want a time, get in touch with Tracy. But they will be
I'll be at that.
lovely candidates.
Big catcher.
Creekside repaving has been completed. I think bar one or two things that are really the transitions between driveways. And so Creekside transition has been completed. We appreciate the public's patience with that. We are gonna have you all another PAL bill funded project, hopefully sooner rather than later. South Main Street is open for public bids, and we anticipate presenting this to you all in October for you to award the contract to someone. And so that is on schedule. At the beginning of October, I keep forgetting about that 28th meeting, so the first week of October. We're gonna try for another park grant, the Go Outside North Carolina grant that we got last year, the $25,000 to do some updates at our facility to make it appropriate to host sporting events. The sporting event we're attempting to host is Little League Baseball. And so, we're trying to secure funding from them to build a storage facility, to replace the one that was kind of dilapidated and it was out on the other side of the T-ball field. It has since been removed because it fell in. Was it Helene? Perhaps. We'll have to check. We're replacing the roof on Statera and on Sweet Eats Bakery because both of those were damaged by Helene, and so the roofer will be on site beginning on September the 8th, and he will start with Statera because Laura's going to be in class all week, and then once he finishes her roof, he'll move to Sweet Eats Bakery. Both of them have had some trouble with roofs. We are starting the process of paving, and well, we've concluded now, Statera's parking lot. We're also going to pave the entrance and the wraparound road at the wastewater treatment plant, and we have paved Mack Avenue. All of that was due to storm damage from the hurricane, so we are very thankful. We were able to get some hurricane relief funds to replace that gravel, and we were able to use mitigation funds to asphalt it so that we don't have to worry about chasing down gravel anymore. And I received an invitation for you, not me, it specifically says not me, which is very kind, for you all to go to KGO, and I wanted to make sure you all got a copy of this, and they're gonna feed you and have some fun. So if you didn't get this, it will be on Thursday the 18th at 6:30, and they're feeding you ribeye steaks, I believe, yes, and baked potato with salad and dessert. Yeah. So I want to come, but they told me no. It said, that's what it says at the bottom. I also let them know that is not our logo. So they have got the old logo on there still.
Yeah, we talked about it in the
It's
past.
Crossroads. September 18th at 6:30. And that's done by the Farm Bureau. And with that, Mr. Manager, I don't have any more remarks.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be out of this job in a couple months, maybe I'll.
I just matriculate on over.
Councilman Litton.
As we go through and look at those ordinances, code and ordinances, we keep an eye on trash cans, especially ones that are blocking the walkways. Somebody leaves one in their driveway or there too, I don't know that that's a big deal, but we got some blocking walkways, especially on North Main.
If they are out there early or out there for too long, they get a letter in the mail. That says, move you can. So I can't remember the exact, I think it's 8 hours before, 24 after. Is that right, Mike? I can't exactly remember. Isaac and Mike are shaking their heads because they send those letters. And we've put that in the newsletter multiple times, and we put it on Facebook.
I'll put mine out more than 8 hours before, because that'd be putting it out of midnight.
I probably do too.
That needs to change, those words need to change, if that's
Yeah.
the case.
I think it's 8 hours. Is it 8 or 12? I don't know. We'll look. We'll talk to you
Pretty
after.
sure one hour.
I realize. They're wrapping up.
That's all I had, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Wood.
On the Broad River Greenway front, the boat race with, the cardboard boat race was canceled because of the rain and the flow of the river. They just didn't feel like, especially with the situation we had with the fatality down there, that they would feel safe to do the boat race. So they had a hamburger cook-off and they had music, and that was pretty much it. But it was a disappointment they didn't get to do the boat race. But I would like to announce that the Broad River Greenway, they just got awarded a $25,000 grant from Duke Energy Foundation. Says the Broad River Greenway is one of 19 groups across the state to receive the $25,000 environmental impact grant. So that's a big plus for them that they got that $25,000. I don't know if they were even expecting it, but anyway, it's no money from us, no money from the county, it's a grant from Duke Energy. So, you know, we all support Duke Energy, so it's good that they're giving back to the community. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Ellis.
Yes, I got some concerns of some citizens bringing business to closing. We got one open right downtown, and now pizza is, gonna be closing. So that's gonna be two open businesses right there, right in the heart of Floral Springs. That concerns me, and some citizens have indicated, is our town closing up or what? We know that's not true, but we do have Tractor Supply coming, right?
Yes, sir.
That's not downtown, I'm concerned right downtown.
We,
It's my understanding that Campbell's Pizzeria has been sold.
it has been
Okay.
sold, and it is gonna reopen, rising from the ashes as
I didn't hear
a
that.
phoenix.
They didn't hear that either.
Yeah,
Citizens
it is, so they sold the property. We actually have a business committee meeting on Thursday of this week, with some of the local businesses and retail strategies coming in to talk about, they're gonna do it via teams, they're gonna talk about building small business communities in rural college towns. And so we're gonna offer that as a free course for our small businesses. I've been in contact with both the owners of the two properties you're referring to, today, to make sure that they understood that we have a overwhelming, compelling interest in those two places becoming vibrant contributors to our downtown, and the former Boiling Springs Carpet and Tile property becoming a vibrant contributor to our downtown as well. And there are plans for all of those properties.
And staff, appreciate the staff, I'm always on that, our whole departments, taking care of the town and citizens of Bowling Springs. I think we got the best departments around, so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Thomas.
Couple items, so are we still contracting for a street sweeper for the curb and guttering type stuff, or is that done?
We are not. We've been without a street sweeper now for several months, and we're trying to find other ones. We've reached out to the city of Shelby to see if they would even be interested. They are willing to do it. I believe they did a one time around Stadium Drive right before the Jamboree. I don't know if they ever actually got out here and did it. Oh, they didn't. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, my wife complains to me
Yes.
that, because she
It's-
walks and
Yeah.
she picks up nails and screws and I mean, it's just trash everywhere. And that makes the
Yes.
town look bad in a big, big way. Bill Elliott always, that was a big thing, the grass on those curbs and the trash, because that's what people see going down there.
Absolutely.
I can fix that one. Stop your wife from walking.
You listen, no, I'm not going.
That is not an option.
That is not an option.
But
She has her own mindset.
We are looking for, we've reached out to several neighboring communities. We've also reached out to DOT to see if they know anyone with a street sweeper. No one, apparently, the only person that said, hey, we have one is the city of Shelby. And they work such odd hours that anyone that I have spoken to doesn't know when they work.
Okay. The other thing I had is, I noticed that the county has picked up on the environmental enforcement, the TARP, and, there's a lot of trash on all of the ways, highways and byways going to and from. And I know even sometimes the truck going to landfill tends to lose some things. So, I wouldn't necessarily want our police department to focus on that, but I hope that, there's some communication and maybe some highlighted, something in our newsletter about targeting stuff that's got to go to them.
I think October is one of the last couple of months that we just had. August or October or September was like Litter Awareness Month, something like that from NCDOT. And then I know we've got several civic groups that maintain. So I know the Rotary Club does Patrick Avenue, and I think Will Korn was always, that was one of his champion projects. He loved getting Garden Web kids out there to pick up trash. But I completely agree. We have community service workers sometimes that we send out there with the orange bags. We've not gotten any lately. People are committing crimes that are above community service as of late.
So I hope we look at some kind of solution for that. I'm thankful for the Little League and for the 177 kids that were served. I hope that we will continue to look for ways of providing recreation outlets for our youth. I'm excited about seeing the progress for the fire department. One day we will have a completed fire department there, and it'll be another great attribute in that downtown or uptown, I don't know what you call it, in that streetscape. And then I had a question about the shrubbery much less a sight distance coming out of Bojangles.
We will send them a letter tomorrow.
Well, I mean, so can we get them to remove, it's a terrible sight distance.
You can't see it all coming out.
Yeah. We can, depending on its location, we can cut it ourselves. Or we can tell them that they need to cut it if it's in the DOT site triangle. We can
Just those
remove it.
Dollar Trees, shrubs, or whatever it was, is completely dead. So, but you look at the Bojangles, whatever that is, and you can't, I mean, it's,
That's a tricky spot with Eagles coming out and Bojangles in the middle of Crazy Lane that we got, all that, that's a very, that could potentially be a dangerous.
Yeah.
They got a situation, quit letting your wife go to the Bojangles.
I know, she tells me the shrubs are coming out into the roadway there, she wants to cut it. It's not her, but Barry Hughes actually asked me about that.
I have actually noticed it.
And it's a worry because people don't always do the speed limit through there, and it's a very congested place, so. And that's all I've got, that's enough. So,
Councilman Green?
I just have one thing I kinda got into that I didn't really wanna get into, but I wanna, and I reminded somebody this today, you know, we've spent a lot of time tonight talking about leases on the post office and Sunterra, we talked about Sweet East Baker, we talked about, and I reminded somebody today that we're new to this property management, we're not in the, you know, we know, it's something new for us to be leasing property. So, our town manager and our staff, they're not property managers, so they don't know all the ins and outs, and they don't have all the answers. It's something we kinda dumped on you and your staff, so I just wanted you to know that I do recognize that it's something additional you had to take on. And, so,
Thank you.
it gets hard sometimes. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. You mentioned Will Corn, which brought this to mind. There is a full corn moon this Sunday. It's called the full corn moon. So any of you knew my friend Will Corn, then, you know, how about it? He would have. I guess I'll get sentimental. You'll just have to forgive me over these next couple of meetings anyway, but, some of the things that people ask me if I'll miss it, you know, and one of the things that I will miss for sure is getting to sit up here on this dais with you gentlemen and working through things like post office lease agreements where we really do wrestle with the ins and outs, what's the best for the town, how can we negotiate. It's just really refreshing. Nobody has a hidden agenda. It's just 5 people, 6 people really trying to do the best. And so I do appreciate you guys. And at the same time, we can laugh about what type of vehicle Santa is gonna ride, and we can have a good time, and we're lighthearted, and we don't take ourselves too seriously. I think that's really important, and I don't say things like this lightly at all. I don't know that I've ever said anything quite like this, but I'll also miss people like Reverend Woods coming up, because my spirit was stirred during that meeting. That is the Lord's work, and, you know, Daniel and Tripp and those guys, taking care of our kids with Little League, and Mr. Crowder joining us and mentioning what an honor it is to be here, and I think we all feel that. Mr. Evans, like, just bringing the light back between Gardner Webb, my alma mater, you know, and this town. It's just really meaningful stuff, what we do. It really is. And I'm gonna stop down and I plan to get that choked up or anything like that, but it just really is meaningful stuff. And so thank you guys for what you do, every day. So happy full corn moon, everybody. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I have to make a comment.
Tommy.
I appreciate you recognizing Mr. Evans as president, Evans.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the president of the college for an interim period of time, maybe long.
Let's hope so.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, sir. That's a good way to end it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye. All right.
We can't leave it, we haven't got a red line. Don't have to make.
I was gonna make a joke about there's still time to slip in a closed session unless y'all are just absolutely opposed to
First time.
Yeah.
What's up, how you doing?
We got time.
Stanley, what's up, buddy? How you doing, bud?